How's it going, guys? Welcome to this head drawing video. In this video, we'll be talking about how to draw the head from imagination. We're going to go over the basic form and break down the head into a manageable three-dimensional object that we can put. First off, we'll start off with proportions. It's arguably the most important aspect of head drawing. There's an old head drawing artist that says that you'll make 90% of your mistake within the first 30 seconds. That's because if you mess up proportions, everything will be broken. Then what we'll go on to is focus on a bit of the skull. We're going to just go over very basic skull anatomy. We're not going to go anything crazy. Maybe we'll do that in a different video. We're just going to hit the major points. I'll point out things that I think are really important for you to look out for. After that, we'll go over the basic form. This is just going to be really focused on, breaking that head down into those planes and how to move it around in a three-dimensional area. Then I'll just do a quick demo for you guys, and so you can see how to apply it in a variety of different styles. So you can see that it's not just stuck into my particular style. This can be transferred to your style or really anybody's style. All right, let's get started. Alright, so a good way to look at this is to think of the head as a nice juicy watermelon. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a watermelon and we're going to carve into it with a knife essentially. So don't think of this as a flat oval. Think of this as a watermelon that I'm drawing. It doesn't have to be necessarily a watermelon, it could be a piece of clay, whatever. The point is it's a three-dimensional object. From the top of the head to the bottom of the head, halfway will be the eye line. And this is, of course, as it implies, where the eyes will be. So what we're going to take our knife and we're going to slice right into that eye line, right into that watermelon. We're doing a vertical slice. Then what we're going to do is do a 45-degree angle slice and just carve out a nice wedge. Now this is going to be the top portion of your eye socket. And this is actually referred to as your brow line. There's no particular measurement. It's just right above. Then we're going to mirror that exact same shape and cut a wedge on the bottom part. It's actually going to be the bottom portion of your eye socket. They're going to be roughly the same distance. Now something to remember is that nothing really on the body is really flat, so the eyebrow is curved. So the corner of the eye socket is actually going to be right below the actual eyebrow line. I'll circle it here and here. That's actually the corner of the eye socket. That's important as a proportional reminder because we're using that as a reference. So halfway between that corner and the bottom of the chin, it's going to be the nose line. And it's not where the tip of the nose is, it's where the nostrils connect. The tip of the nose will move around based off of what angle you're looking at the head. And the nose is just breaking it down to the simplest shape. It's just a triangular kind of rhombus that sticks into the eye socket. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go from that nose line, we're going to go to the chin, halfway. It's going to be the bottom lip line. This is going to vary hugely with people, but this is just a generic. We're going with the generic face, and we can change it later. 1/3 of the way is going to be where the mouth line is. And this is most of the time where the mouth line is, about 1/3. So we're going to draw that in. And then if you go from the mouth line, or what we're going to do actually first, we're going to stick essentially half a sphere into the front of the face. And it's because your mouth is not a flat form. It's on a muzzle. If you need any proof, if you take a bite of bread, you'll see that there's a circular bite mark into the bread because we have a muzzle for our mouth. If you follow the mouth line over, you get where the chin is. We're going to do a swooping motion through the corner of the cheekbone, through the eye socket, not through the eye socket, through the corner of the eyebrow, and we're going to slice off that side of the head. That's going to be our side plane of the head. We're going to do that on the other side. You'll see this nice swooping motion going through that corner of the cheek, through the lower portion of the eye socket, through the upper portion of the eye socket, and slice off that side of the head from the chin line. And that's going to give us our nice side plane right there. So from here, we're going to go from that bottom portion of the eye socket and go to the chin. Remember that the chin has some width. Now this plane, it doesn't look super obvious when you're looking at a person from a front view, but when you're looking at someone in 3/4, it's going to be extremely obvious. The forehead is also not flat. We're going to break that down to just 3 simple planes. And when we go over the anatomy of the skull, I'll relay how the anatomy actually relates this. And actually, if you go from that corner of the brow to the nostrils, it's actually about how big the ears are. So this basic shape is what you want to remember. Remember that the head is wider in the back than it is in the front. So the cranium. So that's good from there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move on to the basic form. We're going to skip the skull anatomy right now. We're going to go to the basic form, and we're just going to take this basic shape that we learned, and we're going to move it around. Change it, move it around in different positions, so that way we get a great grasp for how this form works. Let's get started. All right, so we're going to go straight to these forms. As you can see, I'm skipping the watermelon process. We're just going to go straight to that basic form. And we're going to move it around into 3 dimensions. I'm just going to put a box next to it so you can understand the concept of these forms moving around in a 3-dimensional area. Like I said, remember that the back of the skull is wider than the front of the skull. And you can see that in the down facing. And in fact, just a reminder, that top left head, when I mentioned earlier that cheekbone plane isn't noticeable except from a 3/4 view, you'll see it right there. You always draw a neck on the head too. So that's perfect. We made it through our form, basic form. Just practice that over and over and over again in your sketchbooks, and you'll eventually get it. It takes a little bit of practice, takes a little bit of time, but it will make your life so much nicer when you understand this concept. So now let's go over the skull anatomy. Alright, so I sped this video up a bit, just so you don't have to sit through this grueling, few minutes of me drawing this. Just want to point out that, like I said, you don't have to really stick to any particular style. So I'm just going to go over these basic anatomy features and try to explain how they relate. So this top one, this C that I'm drawing right here in red, this is your superciliary bone, and it actually relates to the corner of the eyebrow. You see how it fans out, it wings out it sticks out like a wing from the skull. And so that you want to draw through your drawing too. You want to make sure that you get both of those corners of the eyebrow. This in orange will relate to actually that bottom plane that we drew earlier of the bottom portion of the eye socket. And it's going to be important to remember that. Right here in the yellow, that's your zygomatic arch. It's actually going to relay a part of your face where it gets a little bit wider. It gets a little bit wider right there in the skull. So right here, we're going to put this green mark is the muzzle, and I can't stress enough that your mouth is round. It's on this round surface. So remember that, and to emphasize it, make sure that you put that muzzle as a nice round feature. So right here on this blue, right on the forehead, that's your frontalis, or your frontal bone, sorry. And that's what makes those planes on your forehead. That's why your forehead's not flat. This dark blue one is your temple, obviously. I mean, maybe it's not obvious, maybe it's just obvious to me. But this, it's what creates that side plane of the head. The head is not a perfect sphere. It's a clear, definable, planarly object. If anything, the skull is more like a box than it is a sphere. Purple, down there I have the jawbone, and yellow, and I have the mastoid process in pink. It's always good to remember that the skull is not a structured thing. It's very organic. So now we'll move on to the demo. I'm just gonna, like I said, just do a variety of styles, just play around a bit, have some fun. So let's get doing that. Alright, so on this first one, I'm just going with a pretty direct approach. Just going to the end result, and just getting a basic head in. Nothing too special about it. For the second one, I wanted to do a little bit more rendering, so I did kind of a bottom view of this person, and I'm going to use this bottom lighting to kind of shine up on this character. For this third one, I'm kind of inspired by like Mobius, but maybe it didn't turn out so Mobius-like. But just like I said, just trying to play around. Third one, wanted to do a female since I've done 3 males. Similar to the first one, just direct drawing, kind of Kim Jong-gi inspired. Gi, don't know if I'm saying his last name correctly. So just playing around different perspectives. I wanted to play around to get another one that had rendering in it. So this girl, I'm gonna play around with the rendering. I'm gonna do more direct lighting, so there's a clear, definable shadow and light side. And I also wanted to play around with the brushes. You'll see I added like a interesting texture to it. I don't know if it worked out or if I really like it that much, but it was definitely a lot of fun playing around and using different brushes and to see what type of effects. So right here I'm erasing to give it that kind of interesting effect. Right there, yeah, and then last one, I just kind of make like a cartoony kind of goofy looking dude with a tiny little neck and body. Yeah, and then that's it. So I hope you learned something in this video. I hope maybe you can apply it to your own art, and I'd love to see anything that you guys make. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I will be making more videos. If you have anything that you'd recommend that you'd like to see, leave it in the comments and I'll be sure to take that account. All right, see you next time.